Welcome to Mental Health Without Borders, the global wellness podcast with Dr. Lindsay Frey, where we dive into the complexities of mental health from a global perspective, exploring how different cultures approach wellness and what we can learn from one another. This episode is sponsored by Finding Hope Wellness Center in Tampa, Florida, where individuals, families, and couples can go to receive hope and healing for their mental health. Go to www.findinghopewellnesscenter.com to find out more. I am so excited to introduce our guest today that we have, Enrico Cappelletto, a highly qualified therapist and expert in his field. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to talk with you today, Enrico.
Thank you for having me. I'm also excited to make this connection between Europe and US.
Yes, I'm always happy to do that as well. So can you tell me a little bit about we just talked about the degrees that you hold and some of the specialties in your practice?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a clinical psychologist. I did my bachelor, my master in Italy as a clinical psychologist. And then I did also a bachelor in social work. And I specialized myself in counseling and recently in Somatic Sensorimotor Psychotherapy, which is an approach developed by Pat Ogden and Janina Fisher from many contributions and from the main idea of the body keeps the score when the words are not enough, So developing something that is making more aware people about their body reactions and how to possibly overcome some traumatic memories. And I did train myself also with couples. Nowadays, I don't work anymore with couples, with the Gottman approach. I do like mindfulness and ACT as a main way of working with other issues. And in our job, you never stop learning, you never stop improving the knowledge. Which is fascinating, is also, you need to accept that you'll never stop learning. There will always be a course of something new. Yeah. And I moved, and I've been living in Denmark since 2016. I did my education in Italy. I did some other courses recently, like EMDR, for example. And I started my practice here 5 years ago in Copenhagen, in Denmark. And I'm working, with expats, part Italians, and of course foreigners, and also people who get to meet from health insurances, from the company that they're paid some psychological journey to help them. Yeah.
And thank you so much for telling us about yourself. And I fully agree. It's one of the things I love most about our field with the learning aspect, that you can never learn too much. And also the field is constantly evolving. And so for my brain, it's just kind of soaking up the new things that we can learn. And that's part of this podcast as well, is every single episode so far that I've recorded, I have learned something from someone else something that I want to dive into a little bit more, which there are some things I know that you could teach me today, some things I'm interested in learning more about. But yes, you said you were from Italy originally, and then you moved to Denmark, where you're practicing currently. Can you share a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to become a therapist?
I really wanted, I was always fascinated by psychologists, about understanding myself, maybe. In Italy, in the university, we have a long tradition of psychoanalysis. We're still teaching psychoanalysis at the university, which I don't agree, but at that time I was also very fascinated about it. I think it was a way to know myself, which could be, also a driver, but maybe not necessarily, I would say not the best one driver to start a practice. It's interesting, but that was the beginning maybe. And then I realized that you will never, even stop knowing yourself, or it would always be a journey, you'll never, yeah. And yeah, and then I did work in Italy as well as a psychologist. I took a break for a while. I didn't want to work for a while, and coming to Denmark, I believe the language was more easy to learn and to speak, which is not completely true, and that's why I'm working in English with expats, and in Italian, of course. It's something that I started during the pandemic, realizing, okay, I put that knowledge aside, and why not to try here, to work with. And it was something, it was like an insight, by doing it, realizing that I can still have something to share, something to, I don't know, something to work with, something to give. I don't know if it's the right word. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you have that passion. And I do find that a lot of times that we might have approached therapy or becoming therapists because of something maybe that happened in our life. And I know that that was something with me when I was younger. That's when I discovered psychology, was just by going through some things and trying to understand, especially growing up in the 90s where mental health was not what it is today. And so it did help to bring clarity. And then after that spawned a passion, for learning and growing and becoming a therapist myself. And like you said, to be able to give back and help other people that had maybe gone through things that I had gone through when I was younger. So I can absolutely resonate with that. And you talked about like somatic psychotherapy and starting to gain an interest in that. So can you tell me a little bit more about that, about somatic psychotherapy or sensorimotor psychotherapy for people that don't know?
Sure. So the main idea is what we see in nature. For example, an animal got attacked, and then the animal itself, I don't know, they shake their body and then they move on somehow, and they keep living their life. And something that doesn't happen to human beings as well. No, sometimes something happened to us, and something got stored in our body, and it can maybe trigger in some other experiences as well. So, and then what could happen in the practice, in a session, by using sensorimotor approach, it's helping the person to reconnect with something that happened, and try to explore if there are any movements or some resources that they can bring to themselves. So, for example, I'm bringing just a very simple example. A person might share, "Oh, I feel really stuck in my life. I feel really that I don't know what to do. I feel just somehow trapped." And then by sharing it, that we explore somatically what happened in the body, what they feel. And then it might be show up a memory from the past. I don't know, maybe a person share that time that the person was, I don't know, locked in a toilet, for example, in a public place, and didn't know how to get out, and feel so stuck there, and somehow paralyzed in that moment. And slowly we can guide that person to relive that experience through movement, through what can be different, how can you act for yourself there, what could be the movement that help you to move out. And it's a kind of provide an experience that can correct or can overcome that feeling of being totally stuck, totally trapped in the moment. So there's like a somatic track that can rewire or change, and the person might have some resources and feeling, okay, I was trapped, I can act for myself, I don't know. And then something can reconnect with the present as well, of the sensation of being stuck in the moment. I summarize in a very quick way, but
Of course.
yeah, this is somehow what does it feel, and it's about exploring as well, because sometimes people are calling me and asking me, okay, what are the exercises that we can do together? And I say, it's not about just doing an exercise, but more about being curious. What happened to your body when we talk about something, and what does it mean to you, or where this is coming from, and what can we, I don't know, do differently. And then, of course, there are techniques as exercises or practices to somehow open up different doors or try to overcome some situations. It is fascinating. It is very powerful. And I started doing it or studying because I do feel sometimes with some clients, words were not enough, or at least there was something. It feels like I didn't touch some levels of them, or things didn't really change, or at least rationally they got everything, but something still was present in the body. They couldn't feel it. Again, it's also a journey for me because it's not always easy, and we're not maybe in our society we're not too too compassionate. We don't always listen to our body. We're not always aware of things that shows in the body. No, it's something to learn. Of course, it's fascinating and challenging, I would say.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's really powerful work helping people to really be attuned to what they're feeling. And I do a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, so I can resonate in that. I'm trying to help them be attuned to their thoughts, and how they're impacting their emotions and their actions. But like both approaches could be completely effective. It's just they're coming from different places. But I'd see a commonality as really helping people understand themselves and know what that means, know what things mean. And so do you find common struggles right now? Are there a lot of common struggles that you're seeing? I know that you said that you work with clients from Italy and then elsewhere around the world, but what are you seeing?
The common struggle that I'm seeing right now, it's stress. I see a lot of people coming from stress-related issues, and sometimes I see some similarities about people to try to fit in the society. So the stress about performing or being in a certain way, even if Denmark is very well known for the life-work balance, but a lot of foreigners, they try to somehow prove themselves or I don't know, they must believe that their worth is in their performance. And and that's what I'm seeing more often, no? So being productive means also it gives you somehow the illusion, a sense of belonging in a society or in the work environment. So not being productive, how is possible? Or what does it mean? No? And so there are a lot of people who got burnout or stress, and it's something that I see quite often actually. And it's a paradox because Denmark at least sounds like a country when people can take stress leave, can take they can work less, they're not very stressed at work. But I do witness a lot of people they're struggling with actually.
With stress and overproductivity. I obviously see that here in the US. I think it's one of the things we're almost known for. And so along with that, I see a lot of high anxiety because of the production need and the stress, like you said. So it is something I'm personally really passionate about too, which is helping people understand that and giving themselves more balance. So that's, always a part of my work is, how is your sleep? How is your eating? How is your activity? Are you getting outside, connecting with people? And then also the therapeutic techniques, And so do you think, is there a misconception about therapy or mental health still, from where you come from, either from Italy or Denmark? Do you see that?
I do. I mean, the movies didn't really help. Hollywood didn't really help our job. They create a lot of cliches, a lot of prejudices about I still have people saying, "Oh, we don't have to talk about my childhood because it will take too long," and and I can understand where it's coming from. At the same time, we need to have a frame a little bit about the person background. But it doesn't mean that we have to explore the whole childhood to get some tools, no? So there is a lot of psychoeducation, no? A lot of informing people what does it mean and what does not mean. Yeah. And then it can be very extreme from people believe we need to explore my whole life, or other people who needs just some tools and they come in because they want some tools. So they really make it extreme. I don't know, almost like a pharmacy. You go to the pharmacy, you got your pills, you go to the psychologist, you got your tools, and that's it, I do see, this is at least my practice. In Italy, is still a lot. I want to use the word. It's almost like a religion. People have to go to the therapist for years, once a week. There is a routine. I don't say there's nothing wrong about it, but the idea that it's very rigid for therapists, psychologists as well. If it's not like that, it's not going to work. So even when I suggest people, okay, we can see. We don't necessarily have to see each other once a week. I see that my colleagues in Italy are not completely happy about my flexibility, no? And I do see a big difference. And here sounds, at least I do have people that I see for more than 3 years now. But it sounds like more brief therapy here, at least for what I got. But at the same time, in Denmark, there is a very strong group of people, of psychologists who use the existential approach, which is very, I don't know, sounds vague to me or blurred to me. And so I can understand why there is these two opposites, I would say, the existential approach and the cognitive behavior approach that has got more to some results, or at least to some goals, to some, to achieve something that the person needs for themselves, no? I'm not saying that the existential therapy doesn't give you achievements or goals, but it's more in the long run. So I do see a difference between Italy and Denmark, and I do see also in Denmark different way of working and seeing what's therapy about.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting, and that's one reason, like I said, that this podcast kind of spawned was really trying to see what's happening in different parts of the world, how people are approaching mental health and well-being, and if wellness has anything to do as well with mental health, either struggles or not having as many mental health challenges. So when you talk about places that are supposed to be very happy countries, it's like, why? What does that mean? Is it built into the culture? Is that culture, impacting, not having mental health challenges? And what I hear you saying too is the psychoeducation piece is just so important when someone's coming in to really see what is maybe their view of therapy first, and then try to understand where they're coming from, their lens, and then be able to provide them with some education on how maybe you will be able to work with them best in your approach that you'll take. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Because I do have still some people who feel the pressure of telling the whole story, and people who are very resistant of telling more than needed. And it is important to set a frame of what we're doing or what we're not doing, or to be clear, to make an agreement of what we can do, also to make a contract. I know it's very transactional, but I do believe in this contractualized things, to make clear what we're doing.
Okay. And so because you're coming from two different places and spaces and probably have strong opinions about what you've seen so far, is there something that you would change about either global mental health treatment or more of a global mental health understanding if you had the power or access to do so?
I mean, I would make it more affordable for sure. It's very expensive in Denmark, Copenhagen. It's good that some insurances are covering the price, but still, it cannot be. It always just is going to be always brief therapy. You're not going to stay for years there. Yeah, more affordable. Yeah, I mean, I do see competing myself with a lot of coaches, with a lot of psychotherapists, with a lot of model. I think I'm also confused sometimes. And I can understand why people are also confused, or people contact me believing that I'm a psychiatrist when I'm a psychologist,
Right.
or coaching, doing couple therapy as well. So coaches, sorry, and I will. I don't know if it was possible. I will try to inform more people or to make things more clear. I know there is a lot of information online, but people are still coming very confused. Yeah. And as a psychologist, we also don't really always help our job, because we do like to open new theories, new models, and and then people want to promote them or their own model, no? So we really, create small gardens. Yeah.
I can understand. So it's kind of the education piece, being more clear publicly, on who we are and what our roles are.
Yeah.
Because I get that same question a lot about, can you prescribe medication? No, I just do therapy. And so I think there definitely is that confusion. And then, of course, like you said, the different approaches as well. And so when someone comes to my office, just trying to educate them. But you're right. I think making it more affordable and helping the understanding could definitely be helpful, or having more clear messages for people. And so kind of switching to wellness, I know that being helpers or givers, a lot of times we do have people in our field that struggle with burnout or struggle with stress as well. So it's really, really important for us to maintain our own mental wellness, just like we're encouraging our clients to do.
Yeah.
And so what about you? How do you take care of your own mental health and avoid burnout?
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Well, try to feel less alone in my job, in my profession. So try to build a network of colleagues. I do share. Right now, I think I'm in 3 groups of colleagues, internationals, where we share cases, intervision groups. So it's a peer supervision. And it's interesting. We're all different. We're all working in different ways, of course. But at least we can also share some struggles about, I don't know, payments or people dropping out, how to deal with that frustration, or people not showing up anymore. So what I mean is, for sure, it's a big part. It takes some effort, like it takes effort in every relationship, of course. But yeah, it does pay the feeling of, okay, I'm the only one struggling here, of this common humanity, concept. Yeah, and then nowadays you can even answer an email in your free day or Sunday. You can always be in contact with your client, possibly. Then be clear with yourself, set some boundaries with yourself. So this is my day off. Okay, try to not look to any courses, try to read something that is not psychological related. Even if everything, because even a movie can have some traumas, of course. So, but try to set some boundaries. Try to create space that is just dedicated to yourself, or to friends or to family, of course. Yeah, for me, that being in contact with some colleagues, with some peers, I think it was a game changing, because even if you are different and we work in different ways, and even if there is a little bit of competition, because at some point your colleague gonna ask you, "Oh, how many clients do you have?" And but still, you feel that you're not completely alone or the only person who struggle with some issues. Yeah,
Yeah.
and supervision, of course, a lot of supervision, having a good supervisor who can. Supervision can also be similar to therapy. That's something that I learn very well, and it's a very good area where to stay and open up about many things. So the personal struggle, but also the professional, I don't know, guidance, that you need, that you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I hear that. I hear the importance of peer supervision. I think it's important for people to hear that helpers need help too. That's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
kind of a
totally.
common thread with
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
the others that I've talked with. Creating boundaries for yourself, which I find sometimes is hard, but also very important. I really have to try not to check my emails on Sundays. So I hear you there.
Yeah.
And then creating that dedicated space to even your family and your friends and your loved ones too, and doing things outside of the therapy psychology realm if we can help it, because like you said, it is such a fascinating subject. I see it in so many shows and so many movies and things like that, which is interesting, and it's not bad, but at the same time it's out there. And so just kind of finishing up, what is next for you? Do you have any big plans or goals or anything on the horizon?
Um, yeah, good question. Maybe, I don't know, improve, specializing myself more in this somatic approach. As I say, you never stop learning. So, or even improving more, it practice more. But this is also a nice way of learning, practicing more, trusting more that the process, because I really see, I'm fascinated about the trauma. I know nowadays it's everywhere, trauma, but I think it is an interesting topic to explore. And everybody has experienced something traumatic, or something at least that creates and before and after an experience that changes, or at least that crystallizes some messages possibly. I'm also interested very much with the EMDR as a practice to explore some traumatic memory and possibly redesign what happened there. Yeah, I did experience on myself the possible change, of being in touch with my body reactions whenever some topics show up. So I would love to provide more and more this kind of experience. I'm always fascinated about working in groups as well, and I'm always thinking about starting a group. Yeah, that might be interesting as well. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, I really see the power of working in a group. I really see. I'm also being interested in. I don't know if you heard about the theater of the oppressed. This practice from Brazil.
No, I haven't.
No, it's a movement started I think in the '70s from this guy called Augusto Boal in Brazil, and is a way to explore with exercises with somatic. It's something that you stage in a big space for sure, but even in a public space, to explore something that might oppress you, or something that could be messages from society. And it is so fascinating because there are plenty of exercises that help you to explore how to get also out of your role, the role the society is teaching you, or something that you will learn for yourself. And by playing, I don't know, a different character, you might experience, the differences. It's, so it's kind of lab or a workshop that people can do, and then you can stage, and then there is no audience and actors because everybody is an actor. I mean, it's super fascinating. I have friends who ask me to do it here in Copenhagen, but then, there are only 24 hours in a day.
Right. I know, exactly. 100%. That sounds really interesting. And I have one last question about Denmark. And I know that
please.
you've been there since 2016. I read somewhere that around 60% of people bike everywhere. That almost everybody owns a bike. That biking and swimming are very, very common practices. So did you get a bike when you moved there?
I do bike because it's very convenient. It's more enjoyable than the public transport for sure. And there's a lot of roads just for the bike. So it's very, and the land itself is flat. So that helps a lot. And it is a very bike friendly. About the swimming part, for me, the water is too cold sometimes.
But don't they like that? They like the cold water. That's
sure, but I'm not a Viking, so yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so nice to meet you and talk with you. Like I said before we started, I was really looking forward to having this conversation with you today. And so I will end saying thank you so much for joining me on Mental Health Without Borders. It's been an incredible conversation today with Enrico Cappelletto. Remember, no matter where you are in the world and where you come from, your mental wellness truly matters. So be kind to yourself, and I look forward to connecting with you next time on Mental Health Without Borders.
Thank you. Thank you so much.